Hi guys, welcome back. So a little change of scenery. Just wanted to go over today the difference between a cylinder and a cone when finding volume. So pause this video if you have not watched my intro to cones video. Now moving on, our cylinder volume equation is above me. Volume equals pi r squared times height, right? Everybody should be pretty good at that. We've done several assignments to get that cemented into your brain. So let's talk about the steps for cylinders that are in black over here. So first we found the radius. If we had diameter, we would have to divide by 2. Then you take that radius and you square it, you multiply by height and pi, and then you would round and label, right? And we would be done. The only step that we need to add, as you saw in our video with the cone inside of the cylinder, was that you needed to divide by 3. Dividing by 3 is the same as multiplying by 1/3. So that's the only step that we're adding here, guys. So number 1, find radius, and if you are given diameter, diameter goes all the way across the circle and through the center, then you divide that number by 2. Don't forget though to take that answer and square it. Remember that when you square the radius and you multiply by pi, you actually are finding the area of the base, which is a circle. And then we multiply by height, so we cover all the space in the center. All right, so again, the only difference between cylinder and cone is divide that answer by 3. So follow all the steps you've done before and answer these questions on the Google form today by dividing by 3. And then always we end with rounding to the nearest tenth, which is 1 decimal, 1 place after the decimal. And then when you round to the nearest hundredth, that's 2 places after the decimal. All right, you might not need to label in that Google form. Remember, we're just typing the number answer, but we know that volume is cubic feet, cubic inches, cubic units. And when you're talking about area, a flat surface, that's just square units. Hope that has helped you. Be sure to reach out for me with any questions. And we have our Zoom meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:30 a.m., 12 p.m., 12:30, and then 2 and 2:30. Hey guys, so let's continue today with a couple examples. All right, so first I have a couple cones for you. And how you draw a cone, if you're drawing these at home, is you can draw a circle and then draw the 2 sides of a triangle. The center of that circle out to the outside is your radius, and then the center of that circle up to the point at the top is your height of a cone. Okay, so for the first one, we have a radius of 2 and a height of 8, right? So that's our first cone, and we're going to walk through that using our steps over here. But I want you to take a minute and just look at these 2 problems. The second one has a radius of 8 and a height of 2. So if you want to pause this video after my question and just think about it for a second. So if I ask you which one is going to have a higher volume, would you say the first one in blue, the second one in teal, or do you think because the 2 numbers are the same, just flipped, that they're going to be equal? So again, pause and think about that for a second. All right, so welcome back. I'm sure only half of you actually paused it and thought about this, but I want you to think, what do we do to radius and what do we do to height, and which one is going to be the bigger volume? Okay, so let's do the first one, a radius of 2. So we have radius, not diameter. So our first step is just to find that radius. It's 2. Our second step is to square it. So what's 2 times 2, everybody? Good, 2 times 2 is 4. So let's write it all out first, and then I will start to plug in those numbers. So our volume of a cylinder is volume equals 1/3 times pi times 2 squared times 8. Okay, so again, we're only adding 1 extra step compared to that cylinder. Okay, so volume equals 1/3 times pi. You said that 2 times 2 was 4, and then times 8. That's all we have to write. So take out whatever you're using as a calculator, whether it is your laptop or your phone, or if you have a calculator at home. So first thing we do is let's start with that radius. If it was a bigger number that we maybe couldn't compute in our head, we would put like a radius of 20 times 20 and calculate that out. All right, our radius is 4. So 4 times 8 times 3.14. Remember, that's our pi. And if we stop there, we have found the volume of a cylinder, right? And this is not a cylinder, we're dealing with cones. So instead of multiplying by 1/3, let's divide that answer by 3. So divide by 3, and everybody should get 33.493. If I asked you to round that to the nearest hundredth, that would be 33.49. And if I asked you to round that to the nearest tenth, that would be what? Good. We look at the 9. The 9 tells us to round that tenths place up, and that would become a 5. All right, please remember those for when you do your Google form later. And our next problem. So again, do you think this is going to be bigger than 33.49, 33.5 cubic inches? We'll say these are inches. Or do you think that this one in teal is going to be bigger? All right, let's move forward. So volume equals 1/3 times pi r squared times height. All right, let's plug in what we know. We know radius is 8, and we know our height is 2. So make sure you square that radius. Okay, so if you know what 8 squared is, you can start off with that in the calculator. If you don't, then type in 8 times 8. Remember, we're trying to have these memorized all the way up to 15 times 15. So we should know 8 times 8 is 64. All right, take that 64, multiply by 2, multiply by 3.14, and what do you get? You get 401.92, but we're not done. Don't forget the difference between cylinders and cones is divide by 3. So take that answer, divide by 3, and we have 133.973. So if you look at that 3, that says that our 7 in the hundredths place should stay the same. So 97. And then if we were to round to the nearest tenth, we look at that 7 and we see that the 9 needs to round up because 7 is bigger than 5. So your next answer would be what? If I round to the nearest tenth, that makes that 133 become 134.0. We still want the 0 to hold the place since we are rounding to the nearest tenth. All right, guys, so that should also answer our beginning question today, that this bottom cylinder should be bigger than this one. Even though this one is taller, right, it gives the illusion that it would have more volume. But in fact, whenever your radius is bigger, that cone will absolutely be bigger than the other cone. And why? Because of this step right here. You always square your radius. Squaring a number is much bigger than just multiplying by a number. All right, hope those 2 examples helps. Please make sure that you're writing down with me as I go through these, okay? And then you write down your answers. That will help you answer those problems on that Google form. Good luck. Reach out if you have questions. Thank you.